Matisyahu, and Stick Figure. Today, I have a tremendous panel of talented lighting designers, programmers, and operators from your favorite bands. These three guys put on a hell of a show, and I always have a great time working with them. Feel free to ask any questions. We will try to get to everybody. So without further ado, let's jump right into our panel. First up, I have Nesta Garrick. Nesta is a lighting designer for Stephen and Damian Marley. He also runs Ross Visuals. I had the pleasure of meeting Nesta a few years ago when Modest and Stephen did a tour together. Say hello to Nesta. Nesta, how are you doing?
Yes, man, I can't complain, with what's going on right now, but I'm definitely, very grateful. How about yourself?
Doing fantastic.
Nice.
Moving on. Next up, I have Dan Grabus. Dan's the lighting designer for Slightly Stoopid and an employee over at Pulse Lighting in Nashville, Tennessee. Dan is one of my first lighting industry friends, and has played a big role in my lighting career. Say hello to Dan Grabus.
Hey, everyone.
Dan, how you doing?
Good to see you, Pete.
Yes, as always. And last but not least, I have Josh Platt. Josh is a lighting operator and programmer for Rebelution, and he also works for Life is Art. Josh has also worked with Aesop Ferg, the Hire Brothers, and Rich Bryan. Say hello to Josh. Josh.
Hi, guys.
What's happening?
Oh, it's happening, baby. I brought my friend.
He's got his friend with him. We met Josh's friend in our pre-discussion here. Josh, what's your friend's name?
His name now is Horace.
Horace. Oh, Rufus changed to Horace.
Horace, yes.
Amazing. Well, thank you guys for joining me. This should be fun. I'm going to start off by asking you guys a couple of questions while we get some questions from the audience here. First and foremost, what has everybody been doing during the quarantine? We'll start with Nesta. Nesta?
Well, what have I been doing during the quarantine? Well, I'm a new dad. So
congratulations.
I've been, spending a lot of time with the family. And with my daughter, and something which I'd probably say if the pandemic didn't happen, I wouldn't be spending this much time. I'd probably be on the road. So doing that, and then of course, our industry has taken a hit. So I've been really at the house, either, been focusing a lot on editing and going back into like my visual side of work, and just learning on new technologies and things like that, just prepping myself up for, of course, once everything opens back up in the live industry. But, spending time with the family and evolving, I would say.
Excellent. Josh, what about you?
So I've been going back and forth from Florida to North Carolina. I grew up on a ranch down in Florida, so I've been taking the time to help out the family down on the ranch. At the same time, I've been going up to North Carolina because I've at least been blessed to do some drive-in concerts, which we've been doing through Disco Donnie Presents, and with Life is Art, and that's been what I'm up to. That and golfing.
Oh, excellent. What's your handicap?
Too high to count.
It's too high to count.
Oh yeah,
hey, that's my kind of score.
I played with a 79-year-old today, and nothing's worse than being jealous of a 79-year-old's golf game. With a double, who just had a double bypass surgery.
Well, what did you shoot today?
I shot at 97 today.
Oh, I think that's not.
I'm under
100.
I'm under 100.
You broke 100.
Yeah, as long as I'm under 100, I'm good. I'm great.
Yeah, that's all that matters. What's going on with you, Dan?
Well, about a month ago, I had about 5 weeks of the PPP program over Shop at Work Gas. So I did a little bit of that, a couple of live streams. And pretty much did a little bit of console training while I had some downtime when we were in isolation. And then for my pastime, I've just been bass fishing as much as possible, basically.
Dan loves the bass fishing. He actually inspired me. Dan started doing stand-up paddleboarding.
This is true as well. So
Nice.
a little bit of balance, a little bit of fishing. It's fun.
Don't get caught by them beaver sharks.
Of course.
Beaver sharks, yeah. Paddle away.
He inspired me. Yeah, yeah. If you don't know, you don't want to know.
Don't want to know.
But Dan inspired me to actually stand up paddleboard myself. I said if he could do it, anybody could do it. So I went with that. Excellent. So we're going to talk about design a little bit here. We're going to go through the design process and what your guys' thought process is when you're designing a rig and whatnot. Nesta, we'll start with you. What is your design process like? How do you think about the rig? How do you think about what you want to put on the stage?
Well, I think honestly the first thing is just getting an idea of the vibe of the artist. You know, what the music is and what their style. You know, even talking with them and just trying to see what do they want to be represented visually within their show. You know, from there, I go from, you know, where they're going to be touring. So, you know, if it's something that they're going to be a floor package and how they're setting up, or is it something that we're coming in with a full rig, you know? So based off of understanding that, you know, then from there, I just kind of go through my creative process and be like, okay, what do I want to see? What kind of fixtures I feel that would get that style and look that they're looking for. And from there on out, I just start really freestyling it and playing with it from there. I just dive into Vectorworks and just start mocking from the floor, from all the sets, and then just coming up with the different rigs and looks that I think that would give me the most options of being able to create different designs, different styles within the show, and just be able to navigate the mood from the beginning to the end, you know, and not be played out every minute. You know, by halfway through the song, you've used all your tricks.
Now, for those of us who don't know out there, what is Vectorworks?
Vectorworks, it's a design architect software, I would say. I mean, for people who go from, you know, designing from architect from house to lighting fixtures to venues. I mean, I guess anything you name it that has to do with, you know, AutoCAD, I would say, or something similar to that. Am I right? Am I giving the best?
That's pretty accurate.
Excellent. Dan, what about you?
Well, I don't design too much, but I guess if I was to, I would say Nesta really kind of nailed it on the head as far as the key points in the design process. Also taking into consideration budget when you're picking your fixtures, and then really, I think in software, kind of adding in the visualization tools such as Capture or WYSIWYG, something beyond just the drafting and being able to kind of visually conceptualize and test out what the, you know, looks you can get from a certain arrangement of fixtures would be like.
Nice. Josh?
So I'm kind of there with Dan. I've only designed a handful of things, but one thing I constantly think about is the in and an out. I want a quick in and I want a quick out. But that's not to say that I want to take away from the coolness factor of it in general. And I think Nesta hit it really, really well there with feeling out the vibe and stuff. For me, you know, I always feel that every song has a story. So whenever you're coming up with a design, it's kind of like, you know, I still feel like we should live in this world where people care about like albums and like listening through an entire album. And that's how, at least whenever you're touring and when you got a band that's doing a new album or something like that, it's like, I want to create behind that album and maybe that's just old school of me to think that way. And then as towards like my thought process and the programming and everything else, honestly, I want to show off. I mean, I want that wow factor, and that's kind of how I've always thought about it. Though I did have to get better. I started out in the EDM industry, and one thing I learned whenever I joined up with Rebelution doing the lasers, I want to do lasers all the time. I want to do them all the time, and I've really learned the power of only doing your really cool thing like 4 times, and instead of doing them every single drop. It's like watching these virtual festivals, like the Tomorrowworld thing. I was joking with my roommate. I'm like, they should be hitting fire every single time, like pyrotechnics on every drop, since there's no budget. It's all virtual in general.
I've always agreed with that with your lasers in Rebelution. I remember even where did I see you last? One Love, and then back at Coney Island about 2 years ago. very appropriately used lasers.
Well, I believe a lot. Like I'm actually one of multiple laser designers they've had, and one of the things that I call it architectural laser shows, I guess, just because every single laser guy is kind of always the same. They're going really hard like an EDM show, and I knew I needed to do the exact opposite for Rebelution, in the fact of slowing it down. In fact, when we do "Feeling All Right," it's actually my favorite song I do lasers to, and it's because the lasers don't move.
Yeah,
they just sit there, and it's my favorite. It's my favorite laser look.
Excellent.
They're sitting there.
What kind of lasers do you use with Rebelution?
So we have been we usually have 8 lasers. They're Cavants. They are usually either 15 watts to 30 watts, one of the two. We haven't done any crowd scanning, but we'll do a lot of double zones out of one laser. So it changes your 8 to 16. I call it lasering on a budget.
Oh, excellent. Now, Dan, I got the pleasure to tour with you for a little bit last summer, and you also had some lasers in your rig. Why don't you talk about that for a little while?
Yeah, we had I think some 20 watts and some 30 watts, depending on what was available for rental, plus the 8 phenoms, which are like the they have the special lens on it, so you can crowd scan with those. And those are on the downstage, so you pretty much just point them down at the crowd.
And now you were running those through your lighting console, correct?
Correct. Yep. Those all those fixtures have profiles, so I was able to control them with DMX.
Yeah, because you have pan and tilt with those too.
With the phenoms, yep, we do. And that was neat. You can throw some shapes on there, and basically what that allows you to do is you can either crowd scan or you can flip them around towards the band or the psych, so they give you some options. It's
a real nice effect. I like it. Yeah. Now comparing to Josh, you run it separately, not in your console, correct?
Well, so if I am the LD and I'm operating the lights, then I run it through the console.
Yeah.
I actually prefer running it through the console. It's kind of crazy the way. So I use Pangolin Beyond as our laser software, and it actually kind of trips me out. And it's a beef I really do have with the software, that it actually. I think the software talks better with Grand MA as towards its DMX profile and what all I can control. It works better in the MA than it does in the own software if you were using a MIDI board, say APC 40. I really do think I get better control with it. And then if you're also doing Q to Q, it's phenomenal too if you're not just punting the lasers every time.
Yes.
So I prefer. That's basically what I'm trying to say. Is I prefer running it through.
Why don't you, for the people out there that don't know, what is punting?
Punting? That means coming up with as much cool stuff and turning it into cues. So at least, and correct me if I'm wrong here, fellas, I've always been told that busking is whenever you're in your programmer and you're making stuff move in the programmer and creating things in the programmer. For me, punting is coming up with as many cool cues as I can and basically triggering them on the fly. The way I was always taught was if anytime the clear was highlighted, that meant you have something in your programmer. If you have something in your programmer while you're punting, I've always been told you're doing it wrong. So it means you didn't come up with enough cool stuff.
And that would be considered a busk to you.
Yeah, that would be
yeah.
A busk. Yeah.
Excellent. Nesta, what's your experience with lasers?
Lasers. Not really that much. I mean, most of the times, I would say when it comes to that, I'm more direct. Like I'll hire someone to specialize within lasers, like a Josh.
Josh,
and we go through the looks of the songs and the vibe. You show me different kind of things, and then we kind of build the show from there. But the same thing as like what Josh was saying is that. You can't you can't just laser out, especially with the music I have been working with. You can't just laser out the whole show. After a while, from the first time you do it, you're like, yes. Then the second time the crowd's like, yes. And then the third time it's just like, you lose that wow factor.
Yeah.
You know, so like I had, we had brought in JC over to on the cruise, and he handled a lot of the lasers, and you know, it was great. Like we did it for Stephen Marley, and literally for like the first half of the songs, the play, we didn't even have it.
Yeah,
we didn't even use it until like when Rockstone came in, which was more of an EDM thing.
It's the first song I thought of.
Boom! It came out, so everybody was like, "Whoa!" And then after that, then Damian came out right after with it, so it was like it just gave a good little. Yeah, they had a good middle of the set where we just lasers, and then after that it was just gone. You know, so that's kind of for me when working with lasers, and same way I kind of feel about with videos as well. You know, videos are to complement, not to take over the show. I think sometimes, you know, depending on the artist, of course.
We did video for a little bit in Rebelution, and one of our big things is, you know, they don't want anything that takes away from the band. And so it's really hard to find content, at least, you know, without paying a lot of money for it. And I've run into plenty of other artists that are the same way. They don't want it to take away from them. So you got to kind of handle video, as Ness said, same way. Use it 5-6 times.
And creating clips is not cheap. So that was
not cheap.
It is not cheap.
So it's all about balance at the end of the day, you know, and of course of who you're working with and the style of music and things like that, you know. But just trying to find that nice balance. So you get like, you know, it's like I get an album. You're here to take them on this journey of energy, you know.
Yes. It's I'm more with Nesta. I'm more of a traditionalist when it comes to that. But yeah, I would. I like a nice smooth stage. Like I like to have everything the same. I mean, I'm sure we all do. Like uniformity. I know I've seen Dan do lights a couple of times, and he's had some nice asymmetrical looks. But yeah, it just clean, crisp. Like I like to have similar, like all my gobos on the stage to be all the same. I don't like to have different spots. I like to have everything the same. Similar. It's a nice design process. So we're gonna go into a simple question here. What's your favorite indoor or outdoor venue to light?
Who's going first?
Let's go with you, Josh.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
So I used to always say 930 Club for indoor, but I haven't been there since they updated the rig. Since Pulse actually updated the rig. No, it looks phenomenal, so I can't count anymore. So I'm going to go for indoor venue, Terminal 5 in New York. And it's actually for multiple reasons. Easy load in and load out, and honestly, a pretty powerful house rig. I mean, they got JDCs in there, Rovies galore, and my favorite thing, an easy load in and load out.
Yeah. and they have the elevated front of house for lighting too, I believe, right? Which
I like that too. For that one, the room works because I've been in a lot of elevated front of houses where I don't like it at all. Yeah, it just doesn't work. But theirs works.
Nesta, you?
Just thinking about this. They said favorite indoor, outdoor,
or both. You can give me your indoor and outdoor if you like.
I mean, for indoor, I probably have to say, what's that? I just want to mess up the name, but they just opened it. It's a new rig setup in DC. I think it's called either the Arena.
It's the Anthem.
The Anthem. There you go. Yeah. I knew it was D with an A. Right. Yeah. I knew it was D with an A. So I like their rig. I like their setup. I like the X4 bars in there and everything. I really like that rig a lot for indoor setup. So that one I liked. Outdoor, I mean, Red Rocks is always a classic. I would go with Red Rocks, or Josh, what was that place I think in Missouri that was when we were with you guys?
Or was it Missoula?
Missoula.
No. Yeah, Kettle House Amphitheater.
Kettle House,
that place was that
little
place
river behind the stage.
Beastie. Yeah, I love that one a lot. I love the setup and it was amazing.
Montana's just a gorgeous drop back to begin with, and it's always a good time.
Yeah, that's why I think my outdoor one has to go to the Gorge, honestly. I've only been once.
Yeah.
God dang, it was amazing.
Dan, what about you?
I'd have to agree that Anthems for an indoor venue is a great place to do a show. And then outdoor, I think I want to go with Santa Barbara Bowl. I just remember being there, great conditions, good, nice amphitheater, great backstage, and just remember having a good show there, good food.
Yeah, excellent.
Honestly, like any outdoor venue that gives me FAA clearance, that is like my favorite venue.
Now you have to explain. Now you have to explain what that means to everybody.
So basically, making sure that you are go for shooting lasers. If you're near, there's so many. At least since we're on Rebelution on a lot of outdoor venues, whenever you have high-powered lasers, you got to get FAA clearance or terminate on, say, a wall or something that isn't a physical human being, and it can't shoot past there. My favorite time I've ever had doing lasers and not having FAA clearance was the first time to the Fresno amphitheater, because we thought we could shoot on the mesh and we didn't think our lasers were shooting through the mesh. And right next to us is a military base. And halfway through the show, I get this gut-wrenching feeling that I should turn off the lasers. And then next thing you know, we got a military helicopter circling the amphitheater.
Oh, my God.
And Joe King tapping me saying that they're looking for me. So, so FAA clearance, whenever you're doing lasers, it is probably the biggest pain of doing lasers. Because there's just a lot of places that you absolutely cannot get FAA clearance, and then you're having to find places to terminate.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you for explaining that, Josh.
No problem.
I would probably have to say my favorite indoor venue, which the loadout isn't great at, is probably Brooklyn Bowl Vegas, or the Capitol Theater in Port Chester. Either or, both Pete Shapiro venues.
Brooklyn loaded and loadout is horrible.
Yeah,
Brooklyn Bowl and
Brooklyn Bowl in Vegas loaded is horrible.
It's pretty bad. But the venue itself,
it's a nice venue though. They got Viper.
And as an employee, and Mac 3's over the floor, which it's a very impressive rig. But the Capitol Theater in Port Chester, I think Dan, you've done lights there a couple times, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Josh or Nesta, have you been there yet in Port Chester?
No, I have not.
Yeah, it's an incredible.
If I did, I don't remember.
Yeah, you would remember it.
Okay.
But for outdoor venue, I have to go with Nesta as well and say that Red Rocks is probably my favorite. They're supposed to be there a couple times this year, which kind of hurts a lot, but there's always next year.
I just want my Red Rocks trophy. That's all I want.
It's very tough to get them for crew members now. Apparently.
Apparently. Of course, the second I need one or want one.
I have one from when my first show with Modest, my second show with Modest that I did was Modest and Polish Ambassador, and I got a Red Rocks trophy, and then they shut it down after that. So moving on here, I'm going to ask you guys to make a rig using one fixture. It's an interesting question. I think Nessa's got one. Look at him.
I use one fixture alone, right?
One fixture alone.
Roby BMFL.
There you go.
The Roby BMFL blade or what? Yeah, that would be fine. I can get wash. I can get spots. I can get a beam, and that'll be good.
AKA the bright motherfucking light.
That's a bright, yeah. And you get the follow spot if you want to. So you have the option to turn the pan tilt off on that too, right? Mm-hmm. On the BMFLs, yeah. Dan, what about you, my friend?
Well, I think this question is going to, of course, like the best fixture for the job is going to be a hybrid because you can get a spot wash beam. But I mean, if I had to do one and I could just light the band another way, I'd probably kind of want to mess around with those dream panels where you have like video on one side and then some lights on the other, plus movement. And I feel like you could do a lot of different looks with by switching between that and just having a bunch of those to just kind of be enough of variation in the programming that you could get away with it maybe. But I don't really want to light a band with them as far as the front.
Yeah. No. Josh?
Gosh, my heart says Vipers just all day because you can't not give credit where credit is due to how great a fixture Vipers ended up being. As sort as like, I kind of got to lean with Dan on the hybrids a little bit, but more or less like, the Axiom, like, the great thing is, like, I've grown to love the Axiom because you can get it when you think about budget. You can get it on just about any rig, it seems like now.
Yeah.
So those are really great. And then I do have to throw a shout out, though, to also static lights, because anything like those old Q-Pix, like, even if they're RGB or non-RGB, I love Q-Pix.
Yeah.
Not even just using them as crowd wash, because most times when you see Q-Pix, they're all on your downstage edge and they're using them as front wash. But actually, whenever I had already been using Q-Pix in different ways by stacking them different ways and doing pixel mapping through the Q-Pix and stuff. And then I got a bunch of inspiration watching Kenny Gribben, who used to be the LD for Rebelution, because the way he would use front washes, like, it changed my perspective on how you should use your crowd washes all day, just like as sort of design-wise.
Excellent. I mean, the hybrid, I would have to go with the hybrid. I'd have to go with like a Mega Point. It's just overall versatility, and you get everything out of it. And plus, I just love all Roby products. They're good to me. I'm good to them. It's all around a good thing. Moving on here. Let's go to so I want to ask you guys, who's the biggest influence in your lighting style? Nesta, let's start with you.
Into my lighting style. My dad.
I had a feeling that's what the answer was going to be.
To say my dad. He was when I started going into lighting, he was somebody who I spoke to about just, and he gave me some really great pointers, especially coming from the same way I came in, where, you came in, you kind of fell into the career versus then something that you're building your way into. So you kind of have to kind of like figure out your style at the same time. If you didn't really have people to really kind of who's been in the game for a while can mentor you or teach you different things. So he was the person that helped me with creating a vibe with the music, and you understand the music, so just be able to paint that picture and create the mood, but also just even like a lot of stuff, I like the lights to go along with the beats and things like that, and just kind of bring the energy, not just to the people out there, but then even to the band, and the band feels it, so I would say I got it. And then doing blackouts, I'm a big person on blackouts. And so, yeah, that my dad for sure,
Now, for those who don't know, what did your father do?
So he was Bob Marley's LD. So he was his LD and his art director, close friend and so forth. So yeah, he was lighting from the 70s till he passed away and stuff.
Dan?
Well, I certainly can't top that as far as my inspiration.
I should have done Nesta last.
No, that's inspiring too.
It's very, yeah.
Yeah, and just amazing. For me, it's always I'd say probably just the designers I've worked with, specifically Mikey Cummings, who just kind of gone through the do's and the don'ts, things that I've would do as it being a green LD, and learning that just how to be more tasteful with things, and then ultimately, I think creative process and inspiration I just get from the shows that I would go to when I was younger, and just the energy that of like being a patron and knowing what that feels like, and then having the trying to bring that to the stage from working.
Yeah. Josh?
Gosh, it's so hard to narrow it down to like one person. All right, I got to give it to two people. Well, actually, technically three, but I'll give it to Daniel Tibble, aka Tebow, Life is Art, who's let me use the crib right now. He's the one that got me into lighting. I was just a measly little stage manager / DJ, and he started letting me operate openers, and that was like huge inspiration, was just to do that. But as towards like design inspiration and such, so I have to like, I didn't plan on becoming a Q guy until I met Kenny Gribbon. He was really the first guy. I was just doing lasers for him while he was doing lights for Rebelution, and it gave me a whole new perspective on how I could become a better programmer and put on a better show by being a Q2Q guy. But my true inspiration, though, because I used to watch these shows on YouTube and all the time, but I gotta give it to Saxon and STS9. I would just pull up every single STS9 show and just watch Saxon's work and try to get inspired, but also try to like come up with my own version of what my own side too. But it was a huge inspiration. Not to mention how many STS9 shows I was tripping balls at and watched the most amazing light show ever.
Naturally.
So yeah.
I mean, I've had to go with the jam band lighting designer as well. I have to go with Mr. Chris Carota. Just like simple, clean, big looks, like really good. As far as influence wise, like teaching me, I would have to say Mr. Brett Lohr from the Capitol Theater. I was the annoying little dude asking questions nonstop, and he put up with my stuff. And yeah, Dan, why are you laughing over there?
I'm not.
Yeah, Dan knows. I used to bug Dan too to teach me some things. So, but they put up with me and taught me a whole bunch, and I'm very appreciative for that. I remember one time me and Dan, I did a show with Dan on a boat, and it was an absolute disaster for me. It was, what was it? Chromeo? We did lights for Chromeo.
That one, yeah.
On a boat in New York City.
It's like a 3-tier casino boat.
And it was good. Oh my god! But it was gorgeous boat. We were up on top of the 3rd tier. Like one of your buddies was like mapping like crazy. He had this crazy facade that he had to map out, and it was just, I had no idea what I was doing. Dan's like, just jump on. I'm like, all right. It was a horrendous display of lighting. Now, let me ask you guys: what is the biggest challenge? One of the biggest challenges you faced during a performance?
Elements. Elements, yeah. Wind, weather, rain.
Yeah.
Just making sure that, safety, pretty much, I'd say. I mean, other than that, things are always going to go a little wrong here and there with the operation and whatnot. But, I think the biggest concern or whatnot is just make sure that the weather's going to be okay, everybody's staying safe.
Nesta, you have anything to add?
Lighting on a cruise ship. That might be by far the most challenging thing ever.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you sit there and build everything. I mean, thank God to where we're at now. I think 2019 was the first time like everything was IP rated, like moving lights, because back, when I started doing the cruises, they didn't have a bunch of IP rated. So you're talking about you leave the ship leave and it's nice and sunny, then you get the radio, 15 minutes rain, have to cover everything up, and then if you're going to continue, then you have to take all the rig and take it downstairs to the theater to the backup area. Madness. So I would say for sure, I think working on a cruise ship and your video wall getting accidentally plugged out at a massive show would probably be in the festival I did would probably be like the worst.
Well, I know that happened to Dan. Didn't that happen to you last summer at the Stone Pony? Didn't you lose a whole bunch of stuff?
The show got canceled. Yeah, there was like some microburst came in, and we pretty much. I think it was something like I can't remember exact wind speeds, but enough to blow over a bunch of stuff, and we pretty much just had to watch the show.
Yeah, and you also you lost some of your gear too, right?
Oh yeah, a bunch of lights broke when they fell, and things just got wet, and it wasn't a bunch of gear too, I think. Yeah. But you'd be surprised how much like those electronic keyboards could just fill it with water and then just be fine.
Yeah.
Certain things will be fine. So, but yeah, weather was really friendly couple shows last year. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Josh?
I think so. I work for a 6-man to do all the 6-man cruises, so I've been a part of plenty of cruise ship catastrophes, we'll call it. But actually, I want to. The difficult thing, because I'm a part of, and I know you guys have been too. Whenever you're coming into a new rig on a festival rig, and I've had, sometimes you don't even get to program, and all you can do is just sit side stage. It's or like they have a side console, but that can be some of the most difficult stuff. I've been a part of EDMX where our programming time was I was behind Justin Casey and Bass Nectar. And Justin Casey got his full 4 hours of programming time, and they told me that I could program from 6 o'clock I think it was 5:50 to sunrise, and so stayed up till 5:50 in the morning and programmed my heart out until the sun rose. And then at the same time, I've been a part of ones where you show up and you're the first weekend of the festival, your first show of the festival, or first night. And best part is, this actually happened. I was on Jam Cruise 2015 with the band Big Something, and we're the headliner that night. And they didn't even have half the rig up on the cruise boat. They were like, yeah, we're having some delays, and I think they had the rig actually fully functional about 30 minutes before the first act. And we were literally luckily, since it was bands, we had 30-minute sound checks, and it was me and I remember Turquoise's LD Zach and Dopapod and Luke Stratton. And we're literally boxing it out on who's going to get to program during these changeovers, because that's all we got. And that to me is a nightmare, because I love being prepared. And
who won that battle?
Luke all day.
Yeah, I
you don't fight Luke. I had
a feeling.
I don't think anyone can make it as far as they've made it unless they keep Luke happy.
I mean, I owe him a good part of my career as well. I have a Luke Stratton board that got me through a lot of shows. He's a genius for what he did.
Oh yeah,
he kind of revolutionized the up and coming lighting design. And now look at he's doing Smashing Pumpkins and Primus, and he's doing great.
At least giving guys like us. If you want a console to play on, it's LPC is the best route that you could possibly go.
Absolutely.
I'm so glad I built mine, because I think I owe a decent amount of my career to the fact that I had a board to use and could do the job.
Did you do the same thing that I did? I built it myself and then just got his.
I built it. Yeah, that's the only way to go. And at the time, I couldn't even afford. I was touring, doing these paint raves where we were touring the country in a Nissan Armada with a trailer on the back. But I couldn't at the time. It was my first big lighting gig, technically big. But either or, I needed a console, and it's I couldn't even afford the $2,000 Node. And miraculously, because I wanted them to bring MPC back. MPC needs to come back. I know it's owned by Elation now, but MPC has to come back.
What, the Martin software?
Oh yeah, but it's owned by Elation now.
Yeah.
Elation, but now Elation is done away. You can't download the software now or anything.
I thought it was. Is it an Onyx now?
Well, even Onyx, I don't think. At least last I looked, there isn't a download. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Last time I checked, there wasn't. But either way, Luke Stratton's board worked with MPC. The Bone MIDI software went straight into MPC. So I ran Luke's board actually on MPC for almost 3 years, just because that was my way to get by until I could get behind a big boy console.
Yeah.
I started with the MPC as well. I used the Ricardo Diaz.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any advice for anybody getting into lighting? Nesta?
Deer.
What was that?
Deer. don't know if I tell anybody to jump in immediately right now.
No, not right now. But I feel like now's a good time for somebody to that's looking to get into the business to start pursuing.
My advice, I would on a realist note, I would say, like YouTube is best friends. Hold on a second, something just chipped out. What the heck just happened here? Yeah, I would say YouTube is your best friend. You have, for example, there's a lot of tutorials out there, like so many tutorials, depending on just what console that you're trying to use. I would recommend really trying to see the different kind of consoles that's out there, get an understanding of them, and see what kind of works best for you, and start learning them. Most of them have on PC softwares. That would be one of the things. I would also recommend understanding, just the technical side of lighting as well is very important. And then from there, I honestly would say, and you guys can tell me, my coming into lighting was a little different from most. I think now, if I was to tell somebody, I would say most upcoming bands or stuff like that don't have a lighting person, and I would say try find them or try and see if you can just come in and just make it look better than what anybody else can do, or go through the venues. My situation coming in was different, so I'm not sure if I'm the best person to give advice of how to enter that.
Yeah. Okay. Dan?
I'd have to say you could, as of right now, maybe learn what you can on your own. Download the free software. If you have a little money to spend on some software, anything where you can program and previs from your house would probably be the best thing. And then from there, once things kind of start opening back up, tell people, reach out to venues, churches, production companies, get yourself in the door, and then get that technical skill that you really can't learn on your own. And grind it out, sweep floors, do whatever you got to do to get in the door and work for those people who have the experience that can teach you the things that you're not going to know on YouTube or you're not going to have on YouTube. But in this downtime that we have now, definitely go hard on the programming and the previs and the drawing, and just try to learn as many new skills from your home that you can.
Thank you, Danny. Josh?
I'm going to imagine that this is a conversation we were having pre-COVID, because what I would say now and once we're over this COVID thing are two different things. But imagining we were not pre-COVID and we were out here touring and stuff, number one things I say to people that want to get into this is, in general, start stagehanding. First and foremost, I don't hire anybody that doesn't have stagehand experience. And also just be willing, I talk to a lot of people that aren't willing. They want to LD. They want to be doing the big stuff, but they're not willing to take the steps kind of necessary to build on that and everything else. And like Rebelution is a clear example of that. Because I tell people it's okay to be a technician. It's tech as much stuff as you can, because honestly, you'll be on bigger gigs later. Because with Rebelution, I just started off as a laser technician programmer. Then the next year, I'm actually the laser operator and laser designer. And then, I was going to be a lighting operator this year. So, I mean, it's like, I always recommend to people, I talk to so many people that are not wanting to take the step to be a technician. But like, I've teched so much stuff, and it's like, if you take care of that first, then it's going to be easier to become an LD later. Because if you're going into it and you download all the software, because most of it's free. I mean, now going into COVID days, as Dan said, everything is free. Download it, get on YouTube, because now's the time to learn. Mm-hmm. So now imagine COVID, but at least pre-COVID, I 100% have to say, like, if you're just getting into this, start stagehanding, start teching, start getting in with companies, and that way, because if it wasn't for getting in with companies, I would have never gotten behind a real Grand MA,
Yeah, I would have to agree with all your points. And persistency is a big thing. I feel like when I was learning, I was just going up to lighting designers asking questions. I mean, I personally, if somebody come up to me and asks me a question, I have no problem with it. I would probably say the same for you guys as well. But yeah, just keep asking questions. I think is ACT Lighting still doing the free classes? I don't know if that's still a thing.
I think they ended in June.
They ended in June. All right, but yeah, YouTube is a huge part of my career. I remember getting thrown into the fire back with Matisyahu and 311 tour, and you know, I had to really bustle down and learn how to program a light show that I only knew how to operate. So YouTube is a great friend. We're going to get into some questions here. Going back to one of our first questions that we had when I asked you guys, what's your favorite indoor or outdoor venue? Somebody here, Dwayne Bennett, asks, what's the worst venue that you've ever been to? Nesta?
What's the worst venue I've ever been to?
That you've done lights in.
I've done lights in. Oh, you set me up for problems. I can give two, and I know these people, so I feel bad about this. But the Matil in yes, Humboldt County, way up nowhere land.
It's not conducive for an in and out.
Yeah, that one was bad, and I think another one was it the Grove or something like that. In California, there's another one in California near Orange County where it's like they have a park and stuff like that. But they've gotten much better. They got a whole bunch of Chinese lights, and I know we don't like the Chinese lights, but it was much better than what they had before. You know, but yeah, those may be my two worst venues.
Dan?
Honestly, I'd block them out, those ones. So
you're cheating, Dan. You're cheating. You know you get them.
Come on.
I really, anywhere that's just tiny, you can't get your rig up, you can't get your power. Load-in's terrible. There's only one bathroom backstage. I mean, you can name it. And pretty much like Europe tour, but then you're there and you're in Europe or something. And it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's just like it's really, like I said, I can't really remember any of the bad ones. Just block it out.
Josh, you have any that come to mind?
Well, first of all, shout out to Dwayne Bennett. He is my video technician for Rich Bryant Tours. And also I have to encourage people, anyone watching this, don't hire Dwayne Bennett so that I can hire him more. It's hands down best video technician I've ever had. And, oh yeah, it's an endorsement. But like I said, stop hiring him because now I can. You need him. But worst venues, gosh, I personally, don't get me wrong, Red Rocks is nostalgic, but I hate my Red Rocks load-ins. Like my load-ins and load-outs, it's like the best part of Red Rocks is for me is when it ends. Don't get me wrong, there's at least a fun show involved, but God, if I see another lighting truss just fall off the edge of that ramp and go into the ground. But as far as the worst venue, because I really do base on load in and load outs, but I actually got to give it to Costa Mesa Amphitheater. For me, it's a bad venue because it is the hardest place where to terminate lasers because I can't get my laser clearances. I can't get my FAA clearances. And it's actually the place where I almost lost my job my first year with Rebelution. And I went into it already nervous because Rebelution's production manager patted me on the back and said, "Hey, this is where the last laser guy got fired." I'm like, "Oh, that's great." Oh, my. And I almost lost my job there. It's a really hard place. I mean, we're talking only about that much termination width. I mean, it's plenty wide, height. It's plenty wide, but only like that much termination room. And you're loading in. I honestly almost don't want to do lasers on the first night since we do 2 nights there. I don't want to do 2. I want to even do lasers on the first night because I honestly have no idea where the lasers are. like I really don't. I guesstimate it because
Yeah.
if it's bright as hell, I can't see where my lasers are. You can't.
That must make the motion of the lasers extremely tough.
I want us to, if once we get towards where everybody can crowd scan like Dan does, my worries are over. Yeah. I'm just like shoot lasers in everybody's face. I don't care. But yeah, I think that would sum up my really bad amphitheaters or bad venues, I guess. Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know, the Red Rocks load-in is pretty atrocious. You have to unload your semi or your trailer, and you're at the bottom of the hill, cross-load it onto a pickup truck, and then they drive it up, and then it's a whole thing. For me personally, club-wise, I have to say the Pearl Street Theater in Northampton, Massachusetts, is pretty brutal.
To do that.
Oh my God, it is. It's my least favorite venue. It's it's just unupdated, and there's you have a whole bunch of guys who don't want to be there, loading stuff up the stairs. Let's move on to another question here. We have one from Derek Opperman. Derek says, "How did you guys get into the industry?" I think we kind of covered that with Nesta, but Nesta, do you have anything else to say on how you got into the business?
Yeah. Well, I got into business I was art directing an album, a project with Damian Marley and Nas 10 years ago that came out with This the Relative. And I was doing the art direction for them from the album, from the promotional, the merch and everything. And then we created this backdrop that had like this shark tooth mesh around that did like a outline of Africa. And then we put like light bars behind them.
Yeah.
So that, we could light it up and change the different colors and so forth. And so I traveled, I had made the backdrop through my company. I traveled down there, I flew to the show and set up the backdrop and was working with the house LD, explaining them how I wanted to be lit and through the show. And after doing that, I guess they liked it. I was about to go home the next day, and then the manager called me and said, "Hey, can you come with us to the rest of the shows until we get to LA?" Yeah. And I was like, "All right." And then the next day I went to the next show. I watched the LD program and then I ran it. And then the next show after that, we were at the Wiltern out there, and I was the guy programming. I was like, "Cool, I got this. Leave me alone." And did the show. And then from there on out, I became the LD for the distant relative, and then went from there to, going from Damian, and the rest is history.
Yeah. Dan, what about you?
Well, I think I was looking for a job after college. Didn't really know what kind of career I was getting myself into. I was going to a lot of shows at the time, and figured I wanted to get into that. Ended up emailing a bunch of various production companies where I lived, and one of them got back to me. And I did my first load in, load out for $75 total on the day. And pretty much was hooked on just how, they teach you one process and you just learn that process, and maybe it's unplugging video panels or plugging in video panels. And then the goal is to just do it as fast as you can. I just remember being like, oh, I can do this, show me how to do something. And then I do it. And then I just figure out how to do it faster and more efficient. And so basically just kind of decided that I wanted to get into it, and then made it happen.
Excellent. Josh?
Well, I was going to college for music business and minoring in theater production, and that took me absolutely nowhere. Yeah. And I became a whitewater raft guide. I mean, I'm just being real. Absolutely.
It's good.
So I was waiting tables and working as a whitewater raft guide in Charlotte, North Carolina. Honestly, fully thought I was going to be a whitewater raft guide for the rest of my life. Was out.
We need the pictures.
Oh yeah, go on my Facebook. They're all.
Yeah.
Even including the one where I tore my MCL, man, my MCL. That was cool. So while I was raft guiding, my neighbors about 5 houses down from me were starting a show. Like they wanted to do like a regional show kind of tour concert thing, I guess you want to call it. But it was called the Gets Fucking Weird Tour. And they were EDM guys, and they were throwing these shows called GFW. I was out walking my dog, and they literally, I knew they were putting it on, so I told them, I was like, y'all need any help? They were like, we actually, like, we need stage props, and like I have okay carpentry skills and everything else, so they were like, we need all these stage props, and we're looking for really weird stuff. I took it to them. I just made some stuff for free. Really, all I wanted to do was get into the show for free. That was really all I wanted, and so I made them a bunch of weird stuff. I brought it to them, and it was utter chaos on stage. Like it was the EDM, so they had like go-go dancers, because we can't call them strippers, all running around the stage, and they had these grinder girls that were like wearing metal bras and panties and like making sparks fly from them by taking a bench grinder to them, and like it was chaos. And so I jokingly told them that they needed a stage manager, and they asked me if I'd started stage managing for them, and then went on from there. Yeah, that at least got me into the concert industry.
Amazing. Personally, I was a chef before. It was like 5 years ago. I was a chef, and I was tour managing my friends' bands, Ficus and Schwiz, back in the day. Just to be able to do something with my friends that had talent, which I had none of at the time. And then I ended up leaving my chef job because I couldn't attend the Grateful Dead 50th anniversary. I had to go to a mandatory managers meeting in DC that weekend, and I was furious. So I got written up for a piss poor attitude, and we went our separate ways after that. And I think it was the same night or the next night after I left my cooking job, I went up to the Acoustic in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and started programming and installed Martin MPC, and then Adrian Tramontano from Kung Fu offered me a job going on tour with them. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Why not? And yeah, and it was great. I always love those guys, and to go out on the road, the first opportunity to really tour with somebody. And that lasted about 8 months. And then I met Matisyahu in a bar in Nyack, New York, where he just moved to. And he wanted to know where I was doing lights next. And I was doing my first gig with Twiddle at the Capitol Theater. And he came out and sat in with those guys and enjoyed what he saw, and took me out on the road, and took a chance on me, which I always appreciate. And that was 4 years ago at this point, 4.5 years ago. And now doing Modest and Stick, and it's a dream come true. I really don't see it as a job to begin with. It's really just, it's a passion, and it's really awesome. Thank you, Derek, for that question.
It's not a passion; it's an obsession.
There we go. Where is this one? All right, let's hide that one. We have one from Ash Ali. Ash, that's a great question. Is it Ash Ali? If you could LD any act, dead or alive, in the world, who would you work for, and what would you add to their show that they have not done? Great question. Dan, let's start with you on that one.
I think I might need a minute on that.
All right.
That was deep.
That's a great question.
I can honestly answer mine.
Okay.
Being a metalhead in my heart, I 100% take it to August Burns Red. I would destroy an August Burns Red show.
Yeah.
That even they're alive. They're all alive. So
yeah. Would you do any? What would you do? Just add your personal flair?
What would I do to it? Honestly, don't get me wrong. I've been to a lot of August Burns Red shows, and I feel like I know who their actual lighting designer is. Don't get me wrong. He puts on a really great show. But for me, it's like I really actually, as much as I hate to admit it, I really enjoy lighting up EDM shows.
Yeah.
But I hate the music. Like I just do. But I enjoy it because it's fast and you get to kind of do more tricks and stuff. But for them, it's just deep and honestly, doing like more reds and blues and dark stuff. Really kind of entices me because I like it because whenever it's really thanks to the fact that I have that now training, we'll call it, of not using all my good stuff at once. But it's like whenever you're dealing with a band that wants it really, really dark like that, when you come in with those bright ass lights, which I know Stephen Marley hates, it's like but since it's really impactful stuff, it's like come in real bright all of a sudden and you got those white lights. I mean, I personally think that I would probably make it where people were going to wear sunglasses during those parts. Like, just make it hard and heavy. And honestly, any band that lets me use a lot of haze, because Peter, you know this, I get so jealous of how much haze Stick Figure lets you throw out there. And so any band and they like lots of haze, so it's like that's just my dream right there.
Yes. Nesta?
Weird one. I mean, I think typically my brain would say some shit like, you know, like Bob Marley or like Michael Jackson stuff, right? But then, like, I think I've already followed my father's footsteps in so many ways that I think I would leave that for him. I wouldn't want to redo, or, you know, I think he's done such an amazing job with that. So I think I'd more go for the alive thing, and I would probably say, to be honest with you, I would Kendrick Lamar.
Oh, excellent.
Would be my go-to. I mean, like, I can't dislike for anybody, even no matter how big the band is. I have to really love the music. Yeah. I don't care how much you're paying me. Like, you could, if I don't love the music and I feel like as you said, like I'm doing it for free. Like, I'm like looking at you like, why are you paying me this money? I'd do this for free. You know, I like his artistic self and his visions usually. I love the music, and I just feel that with that, I would be. I think I would be able to add a certain level of show, especially with that kind of budget that would just be like out of this world. You know?
Yeah.
So alive, I would say Kendrick.
Excellent. Dan?
You know, I really don't know. I don't really know. There's a lot of great bands out there. Was a lot of great bands. It's just that's a real tough question for me. I don't play favorites as much, you know, and then especially with this point, I'm not really working for anyone. So
yeah.
We're ready by take me.
You work for yourself.
Anybody, you know, but. Yeah, it's just, I think if I was to pick anybody, it would just be more just getting involved with the integration of the video cameras and the live shots and stuff. I think that stuff's really neat with the, you know, the different effects you can use with Notch and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know, just some like epic moments, like being part of like the Daft Punk Triangle tour, like the Pink Floyd Pulse, or you know, just something like,
big.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, personally, I'd have to probably say, like, I would love to do have the 1977 Grateful Dead on the stage with like what we have now. You know, I feel like that would be fun. I mean, I know, Dan, your boss kind of got to do that at GD50 in Chicago and in California. Yeah. But
as long as Singer was still the video guy, though, as long as Jonathan's still in there.
Who's that?
Their video guy, Singer. Because that's another thing. There's some video guys that I would love to do lights side by side with.
Like, that would be cool.
Yeah, I actually have a whole hand pick of those guys. Shit.
Yeah. Who would you? That's a great question. Who would you want to work side by side with?
Side by side with, I mean,
present company excluded, of course.
Present company. You guys. You know, Singer really is. I mean, that's some really cool stuff. As towards video guys because one, you know, it's really nice whenever you mesh well. You know, Singer's one. I would also give it to my buddy Matt Marcato. Me and him, we've actually done it before, and we meshed really well together. He's a really good one that I would do stuff with. Gosh, I can't remember his name. Oh, Frake from Hardwell. Hardwell's VJ.
Yeah.
Him and I would love to do a show with him.
Nice.
That would probably go well. But honestly, they'd all get mad at me because then I'd tell them how I could run all their VJ stuff through my MA.
You tell them, Josh.
Nesta, who would you like to work side by side with in the lighting world?
Nesta, and Nesta. No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. I would love to work with a guy that has been. The more I grew into lighting, he became a big mentor for me and helped me out. And just as a buddy, I think we'd just be great on the work together and collab. Would probably be John DaCosta. He has lit for like Maroon 5 and you name it, and so he's Jamaican as well. So I think it would just be great, just a great tour life.
Yeah.
Being around with him and even like Bobby Bascom, who's another LD and stuff like, but what was great, who was on a list of mine and we worked together was Justin Casey. So we got to work together last year and for 5 days, and that was fun. We definitely.
What was that on?
That was on the Jamrock cruise.
Copy that.
So he came in with me as a second LD, and so he focused on helping with programming. He had his program, I had my program. He worked in the lasers while I was doing the lighting for the song. So, and it was just a good mesh.
Yeah.
A good vibe, and just creatively the way that we could communicate to each other and stuff was great. So he was definitely an LD I enjoyed touring with and working with. But yeah, I would John DaCosta and throwing Bobby Bascom in there would be two guys I'd love to go on the road with.
Excellent. Dan, what about yourself?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm at a little bit of a standstill with
the neutral Dan Grabus over there.
Yeah,
the correct guy I know right now.
Yeah.
I pretty much work with anybody right now.
Yeah.
And I guess, and that being said, I've also would love to teach anybody if there's anybody that wants any help with that as well. So just spreading the knowledge at this point. As far as aspirations for working with other people, just any and all, let's collab.
That's really dope, Dad. We need more LDs out there like yourself. That, as I said, the first question we talked about earlier, you asked about people getting in. And I think the more LDs that gives different perspective and different programmers of how they work and do shows and give out their knowledge, I think it's what's really missing. And I would love to see some of the videos you come up with, Dan. So think about it. That'd be great.
Stream action.
If I had to make a dream team, I think I would actually switch over to video, and I would be the VJ. I would hire Justin Casey for lasers, and then I would actually hire Kenny Griven for my lighting, and that would be my dream team. That's my and I'll even take the hit and just do video. But that's just because, even though I know Justin can do it all, I'd rather have him on lasers. It's just a strategic team.
Yeah. Yeah. Personally, I would like. I've already worked with Manny Newman from Pitches Playing Ping Pong. He's super talented. He's always got great, fresh ideas. Andrew Getty from Goose, like another fantastic lighting designer. And of course, all three of you guys.
Don't lie.
Come on.
We just smoke weed together. That's all.
What's next for everybody? What's going on next as we wrap this up? Oh, there you go. There's a light.
Yeah. I was getting a little dark.
Josh, what's next for you?
What's next for me? So we have more drive-ins coming up. I actually cannot say who they are because we have not released these concerts yet. But we got a bunch of drive-ins coming up. But in the meantime, I'm going to continue to. I've been taking time to learn some design software called Blender, and just trying to get more. I've been trying to get more into the animation side. It's like I kind of feel like I've gone as far as I can using video or using visualizers with lighting. I'm kind of at a standstill. I am going to be starting more. I come up with a rig in 3DMA and let a bunch of lighting designers basically program that rig and record it. We did one, the Blunts and Blondes, for 420. We actually did it for the date 420. We did a whole collab thing where all the different LDs jumped in and basically recorded a MA3D. So I'm going to put more of those together because I think due to the fact that we now know that concerts really aren't coming back for a while, I want to keep everybody busy and on their toes. I've already had two friends that have been in tragic situations due to this COVID, like way worse than I'm in. So that's kind of it. I'm going to keep working in Blender and learning how to make some more visuals now, dealing more with the video side, and then I'm gonna go work some cows too. Go back to ranching. I want to ranch for a little bit.
Dan, what are you up to? What's next for you?
Currently not much. Just kind of waiting to see the next round of the next bill to get passed. Whether or not they're gonna bring back hopefully some more PPP. Just get back to the shop doing some basic stuff and just trying to stay busy just focus on not setting a ton of goals this year and enjoying family and friends and just trying to stay sane and not I think the biggest thing right now is you're just worried that I think with all this we're going to be losing a lot of talented people because of how long this pandemic is going to affect our industry. So it's definitely hard to say what the next step so try not to think about it too hard just right at the moment, but so if anything is available, anyone needs any help, come let me know.
There you go. Shameless plug down there, over there. Nesta, what's next for you, babe?
What's next for me? I've been, as I said, I've came to a realization a while back that I feel the lighting thing with, live entertainment was going to take a hit for a while. So honestly, what I've been doing back to this, I've been, in my studio building it and working on a lot of video projects, getting back into art directing, album covers, and working on creating videos and animations and, getting back into, it's funny, you're talking about Blender out there, so the same thing, been just diving more, getting better with After Effects, getting better with Cinema 4D and stuff.
Oh, let's have some After Effects collabs, bro.
Facts. I heard you talking. I was like, we go. You make a layer, then I'll make a layer, then you make a layer, then I'll make a layer. Stacks. You stacks.
And stacks.
I think So I'm just gonna be going back to something that I said I was doing actually 10 years before getting into the lighting and focus on that. Spending as much time with my family. I'm a big supporter of the broadcasting thing, so I've been working with I know Volts Light. I checked them out. They have a really good setup out here in California. Aspect does as well, and I'm pretty knowledgeable on that side of the world of just understanding from internet broadcasting, from and also just marketing and what the potentials that's out there. And I do think that there is another way unto live opening that we in the industry could still be working, and the artists and the bands can make money from the streaming and still push out high quality. So I've just been kind of consulting different bands and different production companies and giving my 2 cents of what I think that they could be doing right now and be the leading way going into, like I said, there's a way that we can probably look at this scenario and not look at it as the end, but maybe just, as you said, just an evolution, just an evolve, a new additional thing that's going to be added to our expertise, you know, and
Yes.
and to the services of the different companies, like as you said, just saying they have Pulse being dealing with lighting, and then boom, now they have their own rig, you know. After eventually people catch on and realize, hey, we're not going to be able to do these venues. We can't just always do the drive-ins and all this stuff. Okay, what can we utilize with this thing? Can we have our own series of shows? Do we have different festivals? Do we partner up with a TV company and create? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think there's another way. There's something there for us that the more that we focus on saying, okay, you know, what happens if we don't get PPP loan? What happens if we don't get these benefits from the government? What happens? You know, what do we do? You know, and out of this, I think that we can create something beautiful. But it's just going to go through stress. It's going to be hard. It's going to be, you know, I mean, you're talking about our finances. You know, I mean, most of us here that's sitting here knows, you know, we know what our schedule is a year at a time.
Yeah.
You know, we're the first time any of us is dealing with anything. We're like, we have no, you know, you're cleared for the whole year, you know?
Yeah.
And so, you know, it took us by surprise, but I just think that the more we put faith in each other and this community and stuff, I think there's a way that we can come out of this on top, and we can look back at this 2 to 3 years and be like, man, you remember when this shit 2020 and what was going on and what we did, you know? I think that we can come out on top, but we just have to fight.
Yes, absolutely. I would agree with that. I know personally for me, I'm just gonna, you know, I'm bunkering down. I'll be on the beach. You can find me on the beach over here in Long Beach Island, New Jersey.
Yo, as soon as I find my teardrop, I'm
got the sunburn on.
Yeah, come on. Oh, dude. I'm the tannest I've ever been in my life. Fantastic. Yeah, I'm also gonna I'm jumping into the beyond world, into Josh's world a little bit, learning some of that stuff. I'm gonna jump into the Rebelution stuff, and you know, just constantly learning, constantly reading, and you know, enjoying life, keeping it fresh. I just wanted to thank everybody, Mr. Nesta, Mr. Josh, Mr. Dan. I want to thank Rootfire for allowing us to do this. I think we might do another one with 3 different LDs later on down the road, but this was fantastic. Thank you guys so much.
You'll never have a better. You're never going to have a better.
Excellent. Thanks everybody for watching, and peace and love.
Peace.
Bye, guys.
Right.